Salud party people. I am super excited to get more involved in creating content for my channel. I'm an actor, journalist, and licensed cosmetologist. To top it off, I'm a self-claimed nomad. I love traveling and have some amazing stories to share with you guys that I call tea time, because the tea will be piping. But you can guarantee to learn a few lessons. So hit that subscribe button down below and let's create a dialogue. My name is Roman Anthony and welcome to my channel. So after watching Emily in Paris, I wanted to give the Black gay American perspective. I mean, we always see TV shows or films about the Caucasian American that goes over to Paris or Europe and fall in love, etc., 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 make a lot of mistakes. But this is the gay version and the Black version. I lived in Paris for over 11 months, and although I had many similar experiences, I also had a few Emily won't have in season 2 or at all for obvious reasons. So let's get into it. Okay, so the office xenophobia that Emily experienced. Now, I personally did not work in an office when I lived in Paris. I am a licensed cosmetologist, and when I got to Paris, although I was supposed to work at a salon, when I got there, they decided not to sponsor me or hire me, even though we went through several months of getting things together. But luckily, I had a year's lease on an apartment. I had a banking account and a French phone number, and my utilities were on, so I was set in that sense. I just had to go hustle and guerrilla market myself so that way I can get some clients freelancing, which all turned to work out. However, I did experience a bit of xenophobia in Paris with people not liking Americans. One of my friends even told me that there's like this inside joke that they like American culture but don't really like Americans and they think it's hilarious. I don't know. Maybe if I was working in the salon, people might have come up with a name for me or tried to come up with a name for me because I don't play. But, you know, there probably would have been some teasing or some sort of laughter. I will say, though, not to get all political, but during the Obama administration, when I used to go to Europe, especially Paris, no problems. But yeah, I was called a stupid American a couple times because we voted for Trump, or they thought I voted for Trump. How they thought that with my black gay A-double snakes, I don't know. But that's what they thought. Emily's building manager. Now that situation was so me. Okay, but actually, so the building managers, they're called guardians. Gardien, but basically what they do is, it was just created decades ago, basically, where these people lived in the building and they took care of the building. They cleaned it, swept, gave you your mail, etc., etc., opened the door. Before security cameras, they were the ones who was seeing who was coming in and out of the building. So when I actually landed and got to my apartment sooner than I thought, so the leasing agent wasn't there yet. So I'm waiting outside, and I see this building manager guy. I didn't know he was the building manager. It just, you kind of put 2 and 2 together as he kept opening and kind of closing the door and looking, and he was just right there. So basically, I took out my translator app and I wrote in the message, like I said, you know, hello, good afternoon. I'm moving into the building. I'm just a little early. Is it okay if I wait in the lobby for the leasing agent? So I played it for him, and he was like, no, and I was like, oh, maybe he has a hearing problem. Like, he looked like he was well over 70. So then I was like, okay, maybe I'll just put it up to him so he can read it. He knows it's the phone, right? So I put it, I'm like, can he not read either? How old is this guy? What education level did he get or not get? So yeah, that happened to me, where he just walked away. Kind of like how the woman in her office ran away when she put up the voice of the phone translating the French. That was what the building manager did to me. Or the Gardien. Hot neighbors. Okay. So I was in a chambre de bonne, similar to Emily, except her chambre de bonne was like actual studio apartment, whereas my chambre de bonne was a chambre de bonne. literally my queen size bed that I have right now is bigger than my whole chambre de bon seemed to be. Like it, the shower was in the middle of the room. The toilet was down the hall that I had to share with 6 other people on the floor. Yeah, my neighbor was not hot. I mean, there was a guy who moved in the building who was kind of hot, and a younger Asian girl. She was really cute too. But yeah, no, he was straight. And then the guy right across from me, he was like this old man who was crotchety and rude as freak, and he had an odor. And apparently when I would take a shower or use water in my apartment, the pipes would ramble through the other apartments, so he would always bam on my door if it was after like 10 o'clock. So yeah, maybe he thought it would do the same in his building, in his little chambre de bon, so he didn't shower every day, apparently. I mean, hey, what can you do? Our French guy is so flirty. Okay, so, like, if you notice in Emily in Paris, all these guys were very flirtatious. I would say that French men are a bit more confident and flirty than American men. I think these days in America, we are predominantly on apps, whereas when I was in Paris, literally, I mean, granted, like on apps, people would be flirtatious, very flirtatious with me, or they would be inconspicuous about a flirtation. But for instance, I met someone and I don't know, I think I might have been volunteering at the LGBT center or something. I was somewhere and I met this guy. He seemed really cool. And, he was like, oh, do you want to go meet up tomorrow for like coffee or something like that on cafe? And I was like, oh, wait, like, yeah. But then he tried to make a pass at me. So, that like a very quick, like, kiss pass. Not like the double kiss, like I know you, or kiss, bisou, bisou. It was more like he was trying to all up in my grill kiss. And I was just like, bruh, hold up. Calm down. We not there yet. Granted, there are some definite type of stories I can tell y'all, but that's going to be in the tea time segments, not covering stuff. But yeah, I would say French guys are a bit more flirty than American guys. I feel like it's just like a confidence they have exude. It's just, I don't know, je ne sais quoi. The dog poop situation. 2 things I do not like about that. Yes, there is dog poop all over the place. Reason being, obviously they don't pick up the poop, but also they don't seem to have a leash law in Paris. I don't understand it. I'm from California. We got a leash law. So it's almost like click it or take it. But they don't have a leash law in Paris. And yes, people do not pick up the poop. I'm wondering if they should put more of those little container situations where you can get the little baggies out of it, so that way it will entice people to poop. Because there's trash cans around all over where you can discard of your trash, but apparently people don't think the poop is trash. Power outage. Okay, so Emily was connecting. For those of you guys who've seen it, sorry, spoiler alert if you have not. Emily was connecting her vibrator and had a power outage. That did not happen to me. Granted, I wouldn't have a vibrator that would go into a wall. That would kind of freak me out. If I did have a vibrator of some kind, it would probably be battery operated or something like that. Or maybe I did not have that experience. I did have an experience where my shower stopped working though, and I had to call a maintenance person, and they couldn't figure out the problem and what's going to come back. Luckily, I figured out the problem, so then my shower was back intact because I didn't have a hot neighbor who I can just go knock on their door to go shower. I feel like that's only in, pretty white woman world where that would happen. I don't even think in the gay world. No, maybe. Maybe if my neighbors were gay, I probably could have got away with it. But yeah, I didn't have a power outage situation. I feel like there was something that created a power outage because I do remember flipping the switches inside of my apartment on the power box of the breaker. But I think it was like the whole building for somebody else's reasons. It wasn't me. Is it easy to meet friends in Paris? Oui ou non? Particularly, I think it's hard to meet friends in general. For me, it's always been easy if I would meet people in the workplace. I would meet people in school and volunteering. So for me, since I was not working inside of a company and I was freelancing, I was meeting people through freelancing. And then I started meeting people volunteering at the LGBT center in Paris, or the which is near Centre Pompidou. If you guys are out there and want to volunteer, I also volunteered at the American Church in Paris. So yeah, like you can meet people there. There are still people from the center that I talk to daily. Or email daily. I met my French instructor there, so that was really cool. He was also a volunteer from Argentina, and that's a whole nother conversation we're gonna get into. I just had a mental. Sorry, I be going off into tangents, guys. But yeah, it's hard to make friends anywhere. I would just say, don't just make friends with people who speak English or who are American. Make friends with people who are either from other countries or predominantly in France, whether they're from Paris or just some other part of France, because that's how you're going to practice your French, get better with French. Granted, going to some friends' parties and events or whatever, and they would speak French, I did learn a lot just by listening. I wasn't always able to be included in the conversation unless they started speaking English, but I was able to learn a lot. And then when I was included in the conversation, it just made it a whole lot more educational. For instance, I went to one friend's party and he saw me speaking and he was like, "Your tongue moves when you speak." And I was like, "That it does." And he was like, "We don't do that. We kind of push our tongue to the back of our teeth when we speak." So I was like, "Ah, tu parles français." And then you kind of get a accent, like, you know, you kind of get like an accent or something like that, maybe when you're not using your tongue as much. I don't know how Edith Piaf or Dalida was able to sing without using their tongue, but we'll see. I mean, maybe they actually did when it comes to singing. So I also noticed in the show that everybody's fashions were on point, and that is not true. Parisians, even though it's like the fashion capital of the world, they dress chic, but they don't really dress fashionable. Literally, in Parisians, how they dress, it's so classic in their look. The hair is always, it looks undone or like just got out of bed, kind of just did a little bit and it's done. That wardrobe, usually they might have on like some like joggers or what we call like sweatpants or something like that with a tucked in shirt and some sneakers. Usually the chunky sneakers are pretty popular there right now. Sometimes they'll have like, you know, loose, they look like they tie around the waist like sweatpants. I have them. You might see a picture somewhere of me wearing them. They roll up at the ankles and, you know, you just tuck in a regular t-shirt and some sneakers. And it's like chic, casual, comfortable. So I actually do love the French fashion. It's very comfortable compared to the fashions right now where a lot of guys are wearing skinny jeans. And although I wear skinny jeans, I've never been too much of a fan of them. I feel like they're uncomfortable. They're hard to get in. They're hard to get out, even for my skinny little A-double snakes. So I love the loose fashion and the casual chicness of the French. Throw on a little jacket or something like that and you're good to go. So I have 4 bonuses for you guys that obviously Emily would not experience because she's not gay, she's not black, she's not male. So the first being Raid Bar and BBB. So if you are LGBT, you're most likely going to go to Raid Bar. It on what is it, Fridays or Saturdays? It's the famous bar. Like, you know, you go there, it's usually packed and crowded. There's usually some naked guy in a shower bathing behind, like in the actual shower, you know, either dancers or porn stars. One of them I have recognized to be a porn star because he does porn here in America. But yeah, you know, that was, Raid Bar is very popular. You'll go there. They have some gorgeous people who work there at the bar. Like, they are gorgeous. Can't say much as far as mannerisms, but like, you know, please do not ask for a lime if you get a Cuba Libre or a Jack and Coke. Like, with a lime, they like, you might not. You might not. I don't know. Usually the crowd is really fun though, and the people are really cool though. I mean, I did get robbed there, but like, that's different. That was another, I had been going there a couple times. Like, you know, we'll talk about that too, because I almost went to jail that night and got kicked out of the club. Okay, but we'll talk about that. BBB, Blue Blanc Bleu, is like basically Black and Arab night. It's pretty much the ethnic night at this club. Outside of it is called Apollo, which reminds me of the Apollo Theater up in Harlem. And it is also known as Gibus Club. So it basically has, the party is BBB, the outside building says Apollo, and then it also, in the club, is known as Gibus. They do have an Asian night that I went to, which was really cool. But yeah, basically on Sundays. And question, did you ever notice that Black Night is always on a Sunday in LA, in New York? I'm like, really? But basically, BBB is pretty dope. It's pretty fun. The music is always on point. It's Caribbean, it's African, it's hip hop, it's R&B. It's like, you know, it's where the minorities really go to turn up. Raid Bar's part music is like, you know, Lady Gaga, Beyonce, more poppy type of music. But like, yeah, you definitely get some Spanish and like very, if it's got drums in it, you might hear that BBB. And they have some pretty dope like performances that they hold there as well. Um, Now this one, Emily probably, maybe Emily might experience this in season 2. I just heard that they got picked up for another season. However, when you are in the Le Marais, Le Marais, which is the gay area, similar to either West Hollywood, WeHo, or the Village, or something like that, or the Castro in San Francisco, their gay neighborhood, oh, and if you're in London, Soho, but their gay neighborhood is called Le Marais. For some reason, you know, coming from California, usually people are always trying to offer me marijuana or something. And I don't smoke. I have never done any kind of marijuana or drugs or anything like that. You know, but in Paris they offer Coke like it's going like it's water or something. Like it's water and you're in a desert, they offer Coke. And it just makes me wonder, like, do y'all not realize y'all got an epidemic arising here? And it's like, y'all need to start a war on drugs. That's what Paris needs to do. Because they literally accosted one of my friends and like grabbed him and was like trying to sell him Coke. Mind you, he bigger than me, bigger and blacker. So I was like, yo, I'm glad y'all didn't grab my little ass, because I probably would have just shoved the Coke down my damn nose or whatever, and, you know, gave me an addiction so I can start paying for it. I don't know. I can't afford no addictions right now, though, I'll tell you that. Now, because you actually will see a lot of black people from Africa, or even a lot of black Americans. I see a lot of black women from America who go to Paris or live in Paris. You might want to know where you can get some black hair care products, and that is Chateau d'Eau. You want to go to Chateau d'Eau, and when you get off that metro and you walk down the little strip, all the little stores on both sides, wig stores, hair stores. I like to go to Prestige. I like to go to, as a cosmetologist, I also go to this other store that's very more so cosmetology centered as far as being able to get colors and developers, et cetera, et cetera. But Prestige is almost like going to your Sally's Beauty Supply or like a Royals or like, you know, your regular urban beauty supply store. Although it actually looks a lot nicer than some of the regular beauty supply stores that I've been to in the States. But yeah, go to Chateau d'Eau. I might have to put that on there. Maybe I might draw y'all a map because, girl, guys, gays, heteros, whatever. Like Chateau d'Eau, if you're a minority or you have like, if you're, I'm saying if you're black, but if, since I'm a cosmetologist, so I'm gonna come from the Cosmo perspective. If you have textured hair, curly hair, go to Chateau d'Eau. That's where you're gonna find your Mizani, your Cantu, your As I Am. You're gonna find your products that you need for that. Yes, and that is a wrap on this video.